Hello, welcome to the table. My name's Jonathan Hicks.
I'm Steve Raine.
I'm Mark Windle.
And today we're doing our top 5 fillers. Now, we had a little bit of disagreement, maybe discussion about quite what constitutes a filler. So, how would you guys define a filler?
I'd probably go, it's that game you play before people are getting here, waiting for your full complement, or you're playing in between games while you're waiting for a different game to finish so you can mix up. It generally plays, a variable number of people, and it generally takes, less than half an hour probably.
See, for me, I'd call a filler something between about 30 to 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Maybe as opposed to anything short that I'd go is heading towards party games. So
it's tricky. For me, a filler has to be light, short, and potentially play quite a few people. If it only plays 4 people, I don't know that I could. Maybe it'd be a filler, but usually they play more people.
Yeah.
So. But certainly a filler has to fill time when you'd normally be playing longer games potentially, so it really needs to be short for me. I think is the fundamental requirement.
They're quite social as well, the fillers, aren't they? You can, they're not deep strategy games where you can chat as you're playing. So
yeah. I think the thing about a party game is that you often need quite a lot of people for a party game. If there's 4 or 5 of you and you want a quick filler, party games usually aren't going to work very well because you need more people for a party game. That's the only reason I'd be hesitant about including party games.
Okay.
But I guess we'll see what people think, won't we? All right, on to number 5.
Marvellous. It's number 5.
All right, my number 5 is Masquerade. Generally, I'm not a big fan of fillers, so often there's got to be a mechanic in there that really interests me, and Masquerade definitely has that. Essentially, you each take a role as a hidden role game, but people can swap the roles. So as an action, when it's your turn, you could take your role with someone else's role, and the clever thing is you sort of put it underneath the table and mix them up. Maybe you've swapped them, but maybe you haven't. Maybe you just made it look like you swapped them, and then really you put them back where they were. So when someone takes your card and swaps it, you don't know if it's been swapped or not. So at the start of the game, you see who everybody is, and you kind of trying to keep track of where people are, but you can't just look at your role. If you forget who you are, or you think maybe someone swapped it, you're not allowed to look, unless you take it as an action for your turn, and then it's your entire turn gone, was just looking to see who you are. But on the face of it, it looks like a memory game. You think, oh, I've got to keep track of all this, and that doesn't sound fun at all. Very quickly, no one will be able to remember all the roles, because you don't know if they've been swapped. It's just pure guesswork at that point. So a lot of it comes down to actually bluffing. You're going to claim to be maybe the king, which lets you take 3 coins from the middle, and if someone else is the king, they could stop you, but at this point no one really knows if they're the king or not. So I like that kind of bluffing. People might try and challenge you, but then they'll lose out if they lose. Essentially, it's just a race to get to a certain number of coins. Whoever gets to, I think, 13 coins versus the winner. So it's reasonably quick, but that whole bluffing, swapping, not really sure who I am, but I'm going to risk it anyway, I love that mechanic.
Yeah, I like playing Masquerade. It's probably not on my it's obviously not on my list, spoilers. But yeah, it's quite nice. Have you played the expansion yet?
No,
we have the expansion there. It gives you an extra 10 rolls or so.
Okay.
Extra ones. You've got the Necromancer and the can't remember all the names of those. I haven't played it in quite a while.
All right.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so basically, if you get the advantage, if you see, rather than claiming something where you get to take gold or steal off other people, whatever, you can swap your roles, and you think, well, that's just kind of a waste of a go. But if you don't actually swap them, or you do, you know 2 cards definitely.
Yes.
Okay, and then when that person tries to claim what was originally your role, you can call them on it, because if you call them on it, you get stuff.
You get to take their role.
You get to take their action.
Yes. So
you don't take the card, you take the action.
You take the 3 coins.
If you're right. So basically, you then, if you challenge them and then you reveal it, so you effectively get 2 actions. If I'm the king and I pretend to swap and I keep the king and leave them there, and then they go, I'm the king, and you go, no, you're not. I'll take 3. Was it my go? I'm the king, and take another 3.
That's right.
So you can do things. You can plan things really well. You can spend a whole turn to look at your card, but that's kind of a desperation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've played it a few times. I enjoy it. Don't love it. But
I think same with Mark.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, don't love it.
It is one of those games, a lot of people don't seem to really like it, but for me, it just hits a sweet spot. I do think it's great.
You need to play it with the right group. I think some people just don't like lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. It's a longer version of Coup, possibly.
Yeah.
Probably better version of Coup. You've just got more roles.
Yeah. It's similar to all those hidden role type games.
My number 5 is No Thanks. No thanks is a really simple game. You basically have a deck of cards and some chips in your hand that you keep secret, and you turn a card over with a number from 3 to 36 on it, and the idea is to finish with the lowest score possible. So on my turn, if I want to take the card, I take it and put it in front of me, or I put my chips on it saying, no, I don't want that. And it keeps going round and round and round, someone puts a chip on, someone puts a chip on, until someone goes, there's too many chips in there, I'm going to have to take it, and then they get all those chips back in their hands. They've got more chips to play with, but they've got some points. And if that was the only reason to play that, if that was the only mechanic, it would be, whatever, it's just a bit of luck what number comes up. But if I take 22 and 21 comes up, numbers in a row, you only score for the lowest number. So if I manage to get 21 as well as 22, I'm only scoring 21 points rather than 43, as both of them separate.
Yep.
And so that just adds a bit of dilemma. You can kind of push it. 21's fine for me to take, so I'm just going to put a chip on it and let everyone else put a few chips on it before I then end up taking it. And you can get a few more ways. You can kind of push your luck to, do I dare let it go around another round, or is someone out of chips and they're going to force to take it?
Some cards are removed as well, aren't they?
Yes, they're not always going to be in the game you play with.
If you've got the 21 and the 23, you can't wait for the 22 to come up, because there's no guarantee that it's actually in there. It could be a big risk.
Yeah. So the best player won't always win. It is a bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
You can be, if the person in front of you is take heavy, you do very well. If they go, I'm just going to have to take it, they just keep taking stuff that you would have had to take.
Yep.
And that works quite well.
Yeah, I think it is a very good game in the right situation. So with people who don't play many games, I think it works really, really well as a light introduction to games. It's very good.
It's a quick start of the night game. You've got 3 people, you're waiting for 5. Play with 3 people, takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's a bit too light for me, is the only reason I wouldn't be so keen on it. But.
Yeah, I think, again, I agree with that. It's just a touch too light for me. It's fun though, and you can play with anybody. It's not a problem whatsoever. Yeah, my list is definitely a little bit of a different definition to 30, because my first one's quite morbid, in fact, and that is the Grizzled.
Oh, I really want to play that one.
I consider it a filler because I think you can play it about 30 minutes. In this, you are a part of a squad, and the leader of the squad on the current turn is going to decide how many things you've got to deal with in this mission. And then you need to, from your hand, deal with these, but the things that can come up can be from actual physical things like mortar fire to actual psychological problems that your people, well, your troops will gain through as the game goes on further. You either need to get rid of these, or you're going to be very limited to actually completing the missions. I mean, one of them says you have to just complete the mission. And it's like, because if a certain number of any particular symbol comes out, or like background, whatever, then you fail the mission. So you're just having to deal with these as they come out, and it's incredibly stressful for such a small box game. But it's quick, it's easy to teach, fun to, well, I wouldn't say it's fun to play. It's a nice problem.
I like it. It's good. It's a good game. I think there's just too much strategy for me to consider that a filler. I looked at it when I was looking down games for this. I thought, oh, the Grizzled. That probably takes a bit too long. It's a bit too deep, a bit too hard, I think, for a filler. And I think it plays in 30 minutes if everyone knows what they're doing and if everyone's played before.
Have you got it?
No, I don't.
Rob's got it.
Oh, okay.
Rob's got it. I think I should get it for the cafe, to be honest, because I think it's good.
I've heard good things about it.
It is a good game.
I do want to try it, but yeah.
It's a good choice for a game. Possibly, I wouldn't have picked it for this list, but that's just me.
Okay. You don't want to check BGG definitions of fillers then, because you think I chose everyone's.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I never. It's number 4.
My number 4 is a game that plays as many people as you want it to play, but isn't Ricochet Robots, and that is Set. Set is a game, I mean, I can play it, I'm a teacher, so I can play it in school as well. It's a game where you put 12 cards out, and you're just trying to find sets of 3 with specific requirements. In the set of 3, there are 4 different categories. You've got shape, colour, number, and shading. And you're trying to get your set of 3 for every one of those categories to have all the same or all different. So they could all have 3, they could all be green, they could all have different shading and a different number.
Every time you explain this, people don't understand it. It's one of those, the first time you sit down and play it, and the new people are like, why is that a set again? And experienced people will go, okay, set, and they sort of pick out the 3 cards, and everyone's going, why? I don't get it.
It's a game, and you play it once, and the people who've played before will just take so many more than the other people, because it is is, it benefits from playing it once before.
Pattern spotting.
Correct. And then you play it, all right guys, you understand what the set is, we're going to play it again, and stand back from the first couple just to give you time to do it. But the reason this is slightly better than Ricochet Robots in terms of just getting more people engaged is, one, you just won't get hammered by someone. Two, if I find a set, as I'm picking my set up, you can still look for the remaining cards and see if you can still find a set.
Yeah.
So if I beat you to one set, it doesn't mean I'm beating you to the set you would have then got. There could still be others coming up, and as you're dealing the other cards out, you might already be looking for the third card that makes a set of two you've other spotted.
It always surprises me, given how much people struggle to get the concept when they first sit down and play. And I was exactly the same. I really struggled at first. But after a game or two, they pick it up remarkably quickly. Say, "Oh, I get it now!" And suddenly they're like, "Set, set, set," and they're off. The other thing that surprises me about it is, I would expect this game to only appeal to a very narrow kind of person, because it's very abstract, sort of logical pattern spotting. But a lot of people who I wouldn't expect to like it really liked it. I think because it is so short and it's so light, and you can just dip in and dip out, can't you? It's not like you're taking turns. Everyone's trying to spot at the same time. It works very well.
Yeah, I can stand back for a bit, be on my phone, and I don't need to be engaged in it. They can play without me now. Okay, I'm back in. What we have? Oh, set, and you get another one, and you just go from there. It's great, and just in terms of filling and engaging people while you're waiting for other things to happen, what a filler is, this is just perfect.
I didn't think of it, but I should have, because I would have put it on my list. It is great.
Think of any we ever watched you play. I've never physically played it. I mean, I know that you technically are involved.
You have to play it twice. Should have been on our games to play twice list.
Yeah.
Because that second play, if you played it the first time, didn't think of that either.
Right, after this, Mark, we'll get a game of set in.
Okay, my number 4 is what I think, because I'm going to half disagree. I consider the Old Faithful filler, which is 7 Wonders. Base. And that's a very no expansions, otherwise it's definitely goes on too long, gets too complex.
Yeah, I did think about it.
But I think we've definitely played it as fillers before. When
we have,
and maybe that's where I was aiming my list towards, that or maybe below. I think 7 Wonders is about as difficult I'd go on my list, because I've played it as a filler. It's just, don't play the expansion if you want to call it a filler, because things just slow the game down. You've got more to teach, but it's the game of building up a civilization by drafting, and it's fun, and you're going through the different ages, getting different cards, doing different combos, and scoring different methods. Obviously it takes up to 7 players, and theoretically always the same amount of time. Basically the slowest player is going to be your biggest problem, but yeah, I think it's filler, and it's definitely the thing I've probably played most as a filler, other than maybe one other one.
Yeah. Some people do play it in between games. They'll finish a game, they'll go, "How long have you guys got left?" And you'll go half an hour and goes, "Quick game of 7 Wonders."
If everyone knows what they're doing, it does play very quickly. It's draft play.
I think that would be my caveat. Around. It would only be a filler if you've played it before.
That's right.
Because teaching someone for the new time, there's so many symbols, it just slows it down.
It's just a little too heavy for me to consider, but it's a superb game.
We've just got different definitions. I think that both these games have been great. It just a bit too long for me.
All right, is it me?
Yes.
Okay, my number 4. Oh yes. Okay, it's Coyote, which is. It's based on a very old card game, actually, which we used to play as kids, where you just take a normal deck of cards and you take a card and stick it face sort of away from you on your forehead, so everyone else can see what card you've got and you can't. With this one, though, they give you like a headband, don't they? Yeah, you actually wear, and you have these feathers that you stick in, and cards, if you like, that you stick in. But essentially, you can see the numbers on all the other cards, and you're bidding or betting not to go over a certain limit. So if you add up all the numbers, you don't want to call a number that's higher than that. So if you say 20 and you add up all the numbers, as long as the total is higher than 20, you're fine. But of course you don't know what's on your forehead. You might have a really high number. You can get other things which might double the total of the numbers. There are negative numbers. So it can be quite unpredictable. And the great thing about it is the bluffing. You can see somebody who's got a very low number on their forehead, and when they make a bid, you can see they're not sure about it, and you go, ooh, like sort of making out that they've got this huge number on the forehead, and that element just works really well for me. It's nice and quick, and when you sort of lose a point, you stick a feather in your
tomahawk. Yeah.
Oh, is it tomahawk? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So when you watch people play it, it looks hilarious because they're all wearing these headbands.
If you've never seen it played before, and you see and someone's playing it on a table over there, you're like, what on earth's that? Because visually it looks really daft, and everyone's enjoying it. I think everyone I've played this with does enjoy it, even if you know. It's like dice with theme.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Again, it's the bluffing element that I really like about it.
And it's got negatives and these blue cards that make the biggest number available 0 or the biggest number negative, and it just adds that extra bit in rather than just all positives and you just count them in.
Yep.
It's good choice.
Extraordinary. It's number 3.
Okay, my number 3, thankfully, does sort of work in your area. It's the game I've laughed most in my lifetime, and that's Telestrations.
Oh, yes.
Because it's the game of, well, Chinese whisperers with pictures, and then you have a small child involved, and it all goes terribly wrong. And yeah, it's just because it makes me tears come to my eyes sometimes. Any game that can make me laugh that much, that's that simple to teach, is just. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you. There's no more rules to it than that. You get a word, you draw the word, you pass it on. They try to guess what you've just drawn, and it all falls apart rapidly.
Yeah, it's very simple, but it works so well. And you wouldn't expect, I think, from the description, to think it would be that funny. But when you see what some people have guessed, and then the next person has to try and draw this ridiculous guess that they just made, it can be very, very fun.
If everyone's a great artist, it isn't as fun. But if you've got that 1 or 2 people who just haven't got the art, or who just look at something and takes something that's drawn in slightly the wrong way, it deviates. If you ever played a game of Chinese whispers where someone goes wrong in the middle and you get this hilarious answer at the end, you're doing that, but you're doing that, if you're playing with 8 people, you're doing that with 8 simultaneous things going around.
Yeah, that really helps as well, the fact that you've got several of them going around all at the same time.
And it's timed as well. It's timed.
Stress.
I can draw a great dragon, but if you're trying to get the word fire and you don't have time to draw the fire coming out of the dragon's mouth, you're like, well, it's just gone wrong already. That's a great choice. It was on my... I didn't put it on because I thought it was a bit too... I don't know. It was on my shortlist. I considered that one.
All right, my number 3 is the first game I thought of, and when you say filler, this one just jumps to mind more than any other game, and that's One Night Ultimate Werewolf. I suspect this might be on at least one other person's list. And it just does that filler thing so well. You play it with an app in the middle, so it's a hidden role game. Some of you, when you look at your roles, are going to be werewolves. The rest of you are sort of villagers, the good guys. And then there's this night phase where some of the roles potentially get swapped around. And then everyone has to discuss as to work out who the werewolves are based on what happens. And the thing is, if you might have started as a werewolf, but if someone swapped your role, you might not be a werewolf anymore. So you then vote at the end of the night time for who you think is the werewolf. The app talks you through how to do everything, so it's very easy. You don't even need to explain all the rules. It's just like, okay, just remember which role you are, wait for the app to say it's your name, and then you kind of wake up in the night and do your role, and then you go back to sleep again. And it's great. It's very short, engages everybody, and every single time I played this, everyone wants to play it again immediately. It's just such a good game. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I love this game. I think it's brilliant. It's not on my list.
You kidding?
Wow.
I'm kidding, because I just consider this as an end of the night game.
Okay.
I don't think I'd play this while I was waiting for people to get here. I don't think I'd play this in between games. I think I'd say, we've got half an hour left, let's play as many games of One Night Ultimate as we can in this time. And so for that reason, for my definition of filler, I didn't put it on.
You want to binge play it?
I want to binge play it. I want to get into that habit of oh, he lied about this last time. Oh, he claimed this last time. And that second play and third play and fourth play.
Yeah, you get the
in
meta
the same
going on,
group. Yeah, it's great. I've backed the Alien one. I'm going to get the whole shebang. I think it's a brilliant game, and it was something I considered but discarded based on my definition.
I didn't include it partly because of the way you thought about it, but more because I don't necessarily like playing this while the people are playing another game. I think the audio tracking, be able to have it hear it. Vex, I think it's a game, as you say, everybody comes together to play One Night Ultimate Werewolf. That isn't something where you exclude other people while they're playing another game. I think it's a game that's better for everybody just throws in one big more.
Yeah, it's an end of the night game for me, and for just slightly different definitions. But it's great. It was on my short list, and as I was whittling down, I thought it's probably not the right sort of thing for this list.
But you're filling the time at the end of the night, then, aren't you?
So my definition of filler is waiting for people to get here or waiting for another game to finish.
Okay.
Just entertaining yourselves while you're waiting to start the next big game, and then in this case, this doesn't do it. But it's brilliant. It's one of my favourite games of all time. The first time Jonathan's son played this. He played it, and it's one of your son's favourite games, isn't it?
Oh, yes, he loves it.
And Jonathan was a tanner, and Jonathan went, I'm the robber, and Noah was the robber. And Noah went, do I disagree with my dad? Do I disagree with my dad? I've never heard him lie before. It was hilarious watching Noah's face, and it was clear from Noah's dilemma what had happened, but Noah didn't dare say anything out loud.
I played this the first time you ever played it with you.
Yeah.
You didn't know how to play it, and I knew what's the two where there's two of them in the game. I can't remember what they're called. The two Masons.
Yeah.
The Masons are in the game. So I went. We were both werewolves, and we were lucky because I went. I'm a Mason. He's a Mason too. And he just
Yes,
like a
right.
rabbit head. You've never played it, and in your first game you're a werewolf, and that's.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's so short, it's not too big a deal. But yeah, it's hilarious.
That's good. It's a good choice. My number 3 is Anomia. Anomia is a game where you're flipping over cards on your turn. You're flipping over cards, and might say TV show, or 3-letter word, or type of fruit, or ocean, or whatever like that. You're flipping over these cards, and you all have symbols on, which is fine. And everyone's flipping. But as soon as 2 symbols match, you have to say a category that the other person's symbol says, and they have to say yours. So if mine says TV show, and Mark says fruit, and our symbols match, I have to say a fruit before Mark says a TV show, and whoever says it first takes that card. And it's fine. It's a word association game, but it's super speedy.
Yeah, it's the racing element that catches you by surprise.
And I might say Apple or whatever, and Mark might say Simpsons a bit too late. But once he says Simpsons, no one can say Simpsons again for the rest of the game. And I'll take his card. Brilliant. So Simpsons is now banned, but it's in everyone's heads. It's in everyone's heads. So next time these symbols, this TV show matches with something else, someone will go, Simpsons, oh, I can't say that. And then I've got theirs as well. And so they'll start ruining it.
Yeah.
If I say cat for something furry, and then a type of pet comes up, you can't say cat for 2 different things, and it's just great. It narrows it down. And if I take one of Mark's cards, or he takes one of mine, and it reveals underneath another symbol that matches with someone else, there's another match, and then you can have another match, and another match, and another match.
Chain reaction, isn't it?
Yeah. So you can have a few turns where nothing happens, nothing matches, and then when you get one match, you might get another and another and another. And that person generally who loses the one, I was too slow. And then someone gets the next one, oh no, I didn't see another match. And then someone gets the next one, and you sit there going, they're losing card after card after card.
Every now and then you get that moment, don't you, where there are 2 symbols, like there's been a fight-off, if you like, someone's got a card, and it's revealed another card, so there's 2 that match, and neither of the 2 people have noticed. And everyone else is sitting there kind of twiddling thumbs going, card match.
Yeah. It's and in just terms of enjoyment you have playing this game, I think it's great. And even if you're not doing very well at the game, you're still on it, you're still enjoying it, and you blurt out some daft things the first time you play it. I think it was I can't remember what the category was. It was flower, and someone said hedgehog for flower, and you're like, what? But it's because of that fast-paced nature, and you go verbal diarrhea effectively.
Yeah,
it's good.
I'm not a big fan of word games generally, but I do really like Anomia. I think it is the best word game out there. For this kind of category, it's perfect. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best of that. So I don't mind it. It just never picked me up. I don't know if it's one of those games that played loads, and maybe had a little bit of burnout. It's something I'd probably like to start playing again now after having a gap from it. It's one of those, because I guess that's the nature of filler games, it's so easy to get them played so much.
Yeah, we did play it a
They
lot.
can be a flavour of the month when it comes to them.
Someone has a party pack
Yeah.
where he's got like 12 decks of 50 or 60 cards, so that helps keep the things alive. But yeah, any sort of card-based game, you get used to the categories to some extent, don't you?
Yeah.
So that can be a bit of a downside, but I still enjoy playing it.
Spiffing. It's number 2.
All right, my number 2 is Ricochet Robots, which we mentioned, I think, before. And it's one of those games, again, it's quite polarizing. Some people really don't like it. But for various reasons, I think it's great. The fact that you can have as many people playing as you want really adds to it for me. So you just set it up. Usually we just stand around the table. We don't even bother sitting down. And you're trying to find routes for these robots to get to certain squares. So there's like 4 different colours of robots, and there's a bunch of different colour squares. So you draw a certain tile, and you have to get, let's say, the red robot to that particular space. But when you move it, if you choose to go in one direction, it has to go as far as it can in that direction. So it's like bouncing, sort of pinball style off things. So you can turn corners once it hits something, but you're trying to get to the spot you need to get to in as few moves as possible. So there's a race element. As soon as you think you've got a solution, you might shout out 11. Which means you think you can get the red robot to that square in 11 moves. And then the timer starts, doesn't it? And everyone else has 30 seconds or something to try and come up with a lower number if they can. And if not, then you sort of show your solution and you win and you get a point. And so you're just each taking it in turns, like sets. It fills that space really of people can just join in. They can dip out for a couple of rounds if they don't want to play for some reason, and then just jump straight back in. If you like that puzzle-solving game, I don't know if I'd even call it a game really, but it's an activity to do with other people.
I think it's a game because you score it.
Yeah, okay.
So you score it.
There's a score, yeah. But no one really cares, do they? They just
some people do. Yeah.
But I tend to do very well. But every now and then I beat. Some people are really good in Anomia, aren't they? Yeah. Every now and then I beat them. Like yes, I managed to get one off them. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I picked set over this. I think I actually prefer this as a game, but set as a filler because I think set incorporates more people. Ricochet Robots will put some people off.
Yes, that's true.
And if you've got 5 people who've just finished the game, waiting for another game to finish, and you say, "Oh, do you want to play Ricochet Robots?" Someone in those 5 will say no.
Yeah,
but if it's an activity you think brilliant, at the start of the night, I'll get Ricochet Robots out. Who wants to join me? They'll come along, and enough people will come and play. You can even play it 2-player, to be honest.
Yep.
Matt and Ankush had a Ricochet Robots off on Thursday.
Oh, yes, they did.
They're both better than any of us today, I think. And Matt won by 8-7. Ankush was distraught.
It's one of those that benefits repeat play as well.
Yeah.
The more you play it, the better you get.
A bit like set in that you struggle the first time you play it against someone who's played it before.
Yep.
Second time through, you'll do better. You'll spot they might then say 7, and the first time you play, you go, "How the hell have we got 7?" The second time you play, even if they beat you, you'll go, "Oh yeah, there's the 7," and they'll be faster at spotting it, and eventually they'll pick up, or they'll hate it, and never play it again.
Yes, true.
Yeah, I don't hugely love it, but even so, if it's there, you end up kind of eyes wandering going.
But you can come and join in, win one. Okay, I'm off again, and no one's bothered that you've joined, done one, and then left. It's fine. It's got and it's weird. It's weird that there are games like that someone can come in, win a couple of points, and walk away, and no one's bothered by that.
Yep.
So that's a good choice. Oh, it's me.
It is.
My number 2 is a cooperative game that was nominated for Game of the Year a few years ago, and it's just called The Game. It is a game where you've got a hand of cards, and on your turn you play 2 of them, and you've got 4 piles in the middle table. 2 of them are counting up from 1 to 100, 2 of them are counting down from 100 to 1, and on your turn you play 2 cards in any of the piles. You can play 2 in the same or 2 in any. You can play more than 2 if you want, but you've got to play at least 2, and you're just trying to get rid of all your cards cooperatively before the game ends. When you've played 2, you draw 2 others, and all the numbers from 2 to 99 are in there. It is cooperative in the fact that you can discuss where you'd like to play, but you can't tell anyone what the values of the cards in your hand are.
Yeah.
And the reason that makes this, it's not just, oh, have we dealt a winning hand? No, we haven't, is that you can go backwards. So if you're counting up, you're going, 2, 7, 11, 15, 18, 21. Well, on the 21, you can either play anything higher or exactly 10 the wrong way. You can play the 11.
Yep.
And it's really important to do well at the game to get those jumps back. If you don't get the jumps back, you'll just run out of space or time.
Oh, yeah.
And discussing people say, oh, I'd like to play on that one. And someone else goes, I'd really like to play on that one. He goes, oh, I kind of need to play on that one. He goes, oh. But if you can't disclose the value of the card in your hand,
yeah.
So you can't say, I've got the 21, you can't do that.
You just say, I really want to play there.
So yeah, you get these great things, and sometimes you've just got such a bad hand that you have to wreck something, and everyone else goes, oh no!
Yeah.
It's a cooperative filler, and I think it plays well with people who don't game as well. You can explain it to people.
I do like it, I own it, but I'm surprised you like it this much, that's all.
There are better games. I mean, it's not my favourite game of all time. It's just in terms of, I've got something to do. Okay, let's get that out. In terms of fillers I want to play, there are a lot of fillers that people like playing I don't like to play. So if I can suggest something I'd like to play over something I wouldn't, I'd pick it first.
All right.
Okay. My number 2 may or may not appear on other people's lists, and that's Codenames Pictures. I'm going pictures because I actually do prefer the pictures version now. After playing them enough now, I don't know, well, any particular reason. I enjoy the game more, but I mean, it's really easy to teach. You can join in the groups. Don't even have to technically be that even, because just the nature of the way it works, just getting other people to guess what you're thinking, or obviously you guess what somebody else is thinking with the way it's laid out. I like the pictures element because I think you can do a bit more left field answers, maybe. I don't know whether that's, because I think with the words version of Codenames, I think
you're constrained, aren't you, by the meaning of the word at the end of the day.
And also, I think if you want to do something more left field, you've really got to get the idea that everybody's got to get it. While with pictures, I think you can work around that just the way the mind works. But yeah, I mean, it's hugely popular. I think if you make sure it's kept at a sensible pace, you can play it fairly quickly, and anybody can play it.
Yeah, that's a great choice. I do really like it.
Yeah, it's a good choice. I just prefer the word ones. So I always have. I've played the picture ones a couple of times. I just think I think the words are better. I think it's deeper.
I don't think I could pick between them. I like the fact that you potentially got more options in terms of how you interpret the pictures, whereas, as Mark says, with the words, you've just got the meaning of the word. You can't do anything except the meaning of the word. They can have different meanings potentially, which is what makes the words interesting. Without the double meanings, it wouldn't be as good a game. But yeah, it's what you like, isn't it? Some people prefer words.
The words the clue you give can have a double meaning, and the answer can have a double meaning as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I would just consider that an end of the night game. Again, same sort of thing. I love Codenames. I think it's brilliant. I think it's the kind of thing. We've got 20 minutes left at the end. Who fancies a game of Codenames or Codenames pictures, and we play at the end.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't consider it as a gap between games.
Okay. All right, on to number 1.
By Jove, it's number 1.
All right, for number 1s again, we've got the Between Two Cities. So, Mark, do you want to pick a card?
Again.
Yes.
Ooh, what's it going to be? Hair length.
Okay.
Longest first or shortest first?
Doesn't say.
Longest hair goes first.
Definitely Steve. I think it'll be me then you at the moment.
Okay.
My hair's fairly...
Yeah, I got that. All right. So, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
My number 1 has already been mentioned by Jonathan, and that's Coyote. I love Coyote. I'm a numbers guy, and the bluffing aspect of it just makes it just stand above the rest of that sort of game. It's just much better than Lies, Dice, or Perudo. Jonathan could have a -10 on his head, and I'm going first, and I'm going to go 25, looking at Jonathan's head, and he goes, "Oh, I must have a really big number, 26," and then Mark gets him, and it's great. And just kind of picking people out like that is just so good. You mentioned a lot of the good things earlier, and I fully agree with it, and it's probably my favourite light filler.
All right.
So my number 1 is Murder, Deception in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Which is a mixture of hidden role and Mysterium, I guess, but in a very different way. For those who haven't seen it, essentially somebody's done a murder, and they have to choose an I can't remember what the class of the things, but
weapon and
a
a
weapon
means or
and
something,
means, but they don't really work that way. And then the person who is solving the crime, the main person, gets to there's like lists of different sets of words that are all sort of related. So maybe like locational stuff, for example. So they're going to put one of their things on what they suggest is most likely related to the two choices they made. You have to be very, very observant in this game. We've had this with other people. It's actually really hard. Certainly if you're trying to pick the word, because you're going times and going, none of these words really relate. So you're half choosing the one that's the least likely to throw people away from them more. You do get to swap them out twice, and then people get to they can throw in and go, I think that's the murder's them, I think it's those two cards, because they have to get the cards right as well. They can get the right person, but unless they get the two selections perfect, they are wrong. And also, I really like it when you play it with enough players to get the extra rolls involved. I think it makes it a better game.
I agree.
Such as you have an accomplice who is going to be trying to throw it away from the murderer without making it obvious they're trying to throw away the murder. Maybe draw it towards them, and you have a person who actually knows who it is. So they're kind of, again doing well, I know it's you, and I've got to choose you. But if at the end of the game they chose, they can just kill this person. They get an option. Who do you think the person who knows you? And you go, that person. They go, yep, you got me. You guys win.
Yeah. I've only played it once and quite a long time ago, so my memory was a bit hazy, but I really want to play it again. It is very good, I think.
It's good. I think you do need the witness and the accomplice.
Yeah.
I think it just makes it better, so you need about 6 people for that.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, it's great, and then you get that extra little bit if the lead investigator gets such an easy start and makes it so obvious, you still get a shout as the murderer to get the witness. A bit like if you play Avalon, you have to pick Merlin off at the end. Yeah. If you pick Merlin off, you still win. So you, as the witness, is really important as a witness to do pretty well. I do like it. I rate it quite highly.
All right. My number 1 then is, I'm going to disagree with Steve here because it's Liar's Dice or Perudo. So, I mean, Coyote was on my list as well. They're both very good games, I think. But I prefer Liar's Dice. Essentially with Liar's Dice, you roll some dice kind of secretly under a cup, and so you get to look and see what numbers you've rolled. And again, you're bidding, very similar to Coyote, to see what the total on certain types of dice is. Now, the reason I prefer Liar's Dice is because there's a little bit more tactics in it. You can change the numbers you're looking for. So you could say, all right, I think in total there are 4 3s between all of our dice on the table, and the next person then has to bid higher. So maybe they go for 5 3s, or they could go for 4 6s. That would be another way of making it high. You can change the numbers on the dice. There's a couple of extra rules. You can go for wilds. When you roll a 1, it's always a wild, so it's whatever number you call. If I say 4 3s, we're counting the 1s as well. But you can actually call wilds, in which case you only need to call half as many. So if someone calls 4 3s, you can go for 2 of the wilds. So there's quite a bit more back and forth, and when it gets down to 2 or 3 people, it becomes very sort of bluffy and tactical in that sense, and I really like the final showdown. So I can see why some people would prefer Coyote. But for me personally, I love Liar's Dice, and it's not something that's... People don't seem to be that keen on it around here, at least.
I think it's just a bit of an older game, I think.
It
People like the new stuff.
Yeah, I played it far more with my family than anyone else, but I love it.
I like the game. I think there's more bluffing in it.
Yes.
There's definitely more bluffing. I just prefer Coyote, I think.
I think you'll get Coyote to the table a lot easier than saying, do you want to play Liar's Dice?
I think you just get with the headbands and the feathers and the caps.
True,
it just feels like it just feels more jovial.
Might not go well down the US too well.
Probably not.
And maybe that's it. Maybe it's just a little bit too heavy for a filler. But with the right crowd, I think.
I reckon you can get some really hardcore gamers playing Liar's Dice and analysing it and playing the percentages and doing all this stuff. Yeah. You can. Someone plays if you get it exactly. If you get it the exact number of wilds, you can get a dice back.
Yes, that's right.
That's an extra rule you can play, and that kind of just adds to that level of.
Yeah, there's a couple of extra rules like that which work very well, just to vary things up a bit.
Yeah, it's a good choice. So honourable mentions.
Yes. Now I had loads actually because you say fillers and there's tons of games that immediately pop into my head. So we talked about Code Names, Resistance Avalon, which you mentioned was also on my list. Love Letter. Again, Insider actually is something we never actually got a copy of Insider, but we sort of made up our own version and played it, which is like 20 questions combined with the element where, like at the end of Resistance Avalon, where you can guess the person who
knew it, knew the answer at the start.
Yeah, Spyfall. It's like a combination between Spyfall.
It's reverse Spyfall, isn't it?
And 20 questions.
One person knows the answer and everyone else is trying to get it, whereas in Spyfall, one person doesn't know. Yeah.
So if that appeals, it's worth looking at.
Spyfall was on my list actually.
Yeah.
So I basically my first 3 were One That Ultimate Werewolf, Ricochet Robots, and Code Names. And for various reasons I got rid of them, but I think they're all great games. I think nearly everything Mark mentioned is great. It just, obviously our definitions just diverge slightly.
Yeah.
One for Hoax, that's what I haven't heard from you yet.
Oh yes, Hoax.
I think
again, it feels a bit. It feels a bit too long, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
One game. I mean, you could get one game of 20 minutes, but you generally want to play several games of it at once.
Okay.
A lot of these other games you just play the once, don't you? Or maybe twice in the same name of the set. So I went for length of time and just cut a few of these really good games off my list.
For no great reason.
It's a definition of filler. I think filler is just short. I think. If I play One That Ultimate Werewolf, I want to play for an hour. I love it. I think it's really good. It's one of my top games of all time, and I just don't consider it a filler anymore.
I'm sure there was a group here who, when the cafe usually closes around 11 o'clock,
It was raining one night and they couldn't be bothered to leave, so they stayed till like 5 a.m.
And they played One Night Ultimate Werewolf
for 5 hours.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I like it. I wouldn't play it that much.
And we went to Annie's for breakfast or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was great. I love it. I would play it that much. I think it's that good, and for that reason, for me, it's not a filler.
Okay. Did you have any honourable
mentions?
No,
I think that's good. When the Hoax thing.
Yeah, Hoax is a good call. Again, I've just gone for really light games, I think. So.
Okay. What are your favourite fillers? Do let us know in the comments below. You've been watching The Table at the Dice Cup. My name's Jonathan Hicks.
I'm Steve Raine.
And I'm Mark Windle.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.